There is so much hope in this story that gives us hope. The hope of a couple engaged to be married, dreaming of what their new life together will be like. The hope of an expectant mother who, at every moment of her pregnancy, is a physical embodiment of hope. Hoping so hard for the health of this child, hoping for the new life that is coming. But more than this, in this story of Christ's birth, we have the hope of a nation, the hope of freedom from foreign occupation, the hope of freedom from poverty, the hope of a new kingdom of heaven. When Gabriel gives his announcement to Mary, it is the answer to prayer that all of Israel had been hoping for. When Mary sings her song, a song that praises God for bringing a revolution, she is expressing the desperate hope of all people who experience poverty. When the choir of angels sing and the shepherds rush to the stable, it is the hope that God's kingdom of peace is finally at hand. Hope. Every year at the start of Advent, we preach about hope. And when I started in ministry, I didn't know what to say. Hope to me seemed airy-fairy, seemed nebulous, a vague emotion that I struggled to define. Was it just wishfulness? Was it just optimism? As a younger person, I didn't get it. I think you don't really understand hope until you are left with nothing but hope. And then in those moments, it becomes clear. Hope is the strongest thing within you. For me, the nature of hope became most clear at times when I felt the most betrayed. When coworkers try to get me fired, or when friends have lied to me, or when relationships break down. There's a core part of me that hopes it's not true, that hopes I misunderstood, that hopes things can be fixed. Without getting into the psychology of it, I recognize that there's a lot of my own fear of failure that motivates me, but the overwhelming feeling I have is hope. I see a lot of that type of hope in our churches. Every church, it's got personality conflicts. Every church has fights. I'm not singling anyone out here. Conflict is universal and guaranteed in church. Yay. But the fact that we keep going to churches where we have had conflicts is an expression of hope. You might have had arguments with someone. This or that person might irritate you. You might go home and complain about them every Sunday afternoon. But still, you show up and sit in the pew with them. You don't have to come to church. You don't have to go to this church. You don't have to sit in that pew. But you do. You make that choice because I think you are hopeful. Hopeful that this can be better. Hopeful that things can work out. Hopeful that people can change. Now, if you are hopeful that people can change, goodness, that's a big hope. Some would call you a fool, but I don't. It's a key part of our faith that people do change, that God can redeem and transform us. It happens. And right now, there is someone desperately hoping that it happens to you, that you change. You might be the problem, you know? And here you have a room full of Christians who believe in the best part of you, who know you and know at your core that you are beautiful and good. That goodness gets covered up by clouds of grumpiness most days, but they still hope that soon the sun will shine. If someone hopes that you can change, don't take that as a criticism, but as an expression of love. Only the people who love you care enough about you to hope that you could be better. I stayed in church despite being hurt by church because I hoped that it could change. And I'm so proud and grateful to see those changes starting to happen. It's a long road ahead, but seeing those glimpses of goodness in us is what gives me hope to continue. God is changing us, making us better. So for me, I've experienced hope at times when my relationships with others were challenged. But the biggest moment that I felt hope was when my relationship with God was challenged. For everyone, myself included, faith fluctuates. Sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's weak. Sometimes it comes easy, like a warm summer's day, and sometimes it's embattled and bruised. On those days when I felt God betrayed me, when the dreams and plans I had fell through, when God seemed to have abandoned me and I wasn't sure what I believed anymore, I still had hope. Hope that what I was taught and what I preached was true. Hope that maybe I was wrong. Hope that this moment could also be part of God's plan. I was so angry with God that I couldn't even pray anymore. But still I hoped. Hope was the only thing left for me. But it was enough. At the same time that I was going through that experience, I read Elie Wiesel's book, Night. It describes his experience of the Holocaust and his wrestling with God. Now, my crisis is nothing like his. I'm not comparing it. But it was very helpful to see someone else who was at the point of losing faith and had nothing left but hope. The book doesn't give any theological answers. You're left questioning whether he felt God's presence with them in the concentration camp. By the end, you're not sure if the main character still believes. But we know the author's life. We know that Elie Wiesel continued to be devoted to his faith tradition. If anyone had a good reason to abandon faith in a good God, it would be a survivor of the Holocaust like Wiesel. And yet he was still religious. We might not understand how he got there, but it is a sign of hope that we could get there too. You might be at a moment in your faith journey where you are questioning everything and you're not sure what it is you believe. You hear this story of the Nativity and it seems too simple, too childlike, fit for Christmas pageants, but not real life. Maybe you're brought back to moments in your own childhood when faith seemed easy. But now, with everything that's going on in the world, you wonder how you could believe. Maybe you're ready to abandon God altogether. And yet, you're here, listening to me right now. There's a part of you that has tremendous hope. It's a desperate hoping, but let me tell you, that hope is all you need. That hope is stronger than you realize, and it will get you through. What helped Mary tell Joseph and her family that she was pregnant? Hope that they would understand. A slim hope, but it was enough. What helped Joseph stay with a fiancée that he thought had been unfaithful? Hope that her crazy story might be true. A delusional hope, some would say, but still hope. And what helped a nation survive foreign occupation, exile, and Holocaust? A ridiculous hope in the promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You might have nothing left in your faith life right now but hope. Yet as Paul says in Romans 5, verse 5, my favorite verse, hope does not disappoint us. May your life be filled with as much hope as we see in the Nativity story. Amen.